Hello, my name is Kefa Kabanga, and I graduated from the class of 2015, studying economics and political science. I took Intro to CS in my final semester at NYUAD as an elective, and I really wish that I had taken it earlier because it ended up being one of my favorite classes over the entire course of my academic career, and one that had probably one of the longest lasting legacies thereafter in my own professional life. Intro to CS was great from multiple perspectives within my academic career. First and foremost, the project that we did at the end of the semester, my partner and I, we built a game, a Star Wars game that she and I were fairly passionate about and that I still remember fondly. And that when I shared with my friends and family, they were like, this is probably the coolest thing you've done over and above your capstone, which I thought was pretty cool. But I really enjoyed that project, and she and I got to we still meet up and talk about it, even though she was a freshman at that time, and I was a senior. At the same time, during that semester, I was also doing a class called Technology and Economic Development, and because of the exposure to Python that I'd had in this program, in this class with Professor Zakir, I decided to do a project that involved doing network analysis using Python for that class. And that was something sufficiently different and special for an economics class that my professors nominated that paper that I co-authored for publication. So Intro to CS was not only useful, not just even in the immediate term, because what it did effectively is that it lowered that barrier mentally to code and made and demystified that how scary, quote unquote, it can be, right? And that opened up my own perspective that I was able to chase and learn how to do something entirely new simply because I had those fundamentals whilst I was learning them. And that was the beauty of Professor Zakir's method. Over and above that, my professional life, where it's carried into legacies that a few years later, when I was in a position to be hiring my own interns, I tended to favor those who had some CS exposure over those who didn't, simply because I could ask them to do more than I could of those who didn't have that skills. And so CS as a hard skill, what it did is that it opens up the possibilities of how you can be best utilized. Was very true with one of my interns. She was a CS major and an econ minor, and so it was essential that she had those base econ skills because it was a role in a real estate company where we were doing a lot of economic analysis. But because of her CS skills, I was able to ask her to do a higher level of analysis or different kinds of analysis. So what she ended up doing was building up a sales analytics dashboard and mapping tool to allow us to pinpoint areas in the sales process that would otherwise hide sales opportunities. And it's the kind of work that would have been very difficult to not only analyze but visualize using traditional tools that are non-software or non-coding people would be able to exploit. So in that sense, that was a legacy of the CS program. One other thing that ended up being essential is that when I started working on a startup idea years after that, is that it enabled me when working with product development and software engineers to understand even if not all the code or what they were writing in all the different languages that they were, but the underlying logic that of how a certain operation is done, and allowed me to audit the method, even if not so that made me a much better client, quote unquote, when developing product with software development teams, in that I was able to translate my business requirements into code or into something that they could turn into code much easier. So overall, I think Intro to CS is something that I'm happy to endorse as something that you should take seriously, but also enjoy. All right, goodbye.